Okay, I doubt anyone is going to watch this. Oh, hi. Dark clouds. Hello. Just testing this out. I don't know if this is something I'll keep doing, but I don't know. Might be fun. I'm just going to play around on Macs. I've got a few synths here that I might mess with. Yes. So I don't know. Hang out. Howdy, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I'm just playing around. I might do some additional patching. Right now I'm literally just playing with some stuff I've been building. But hey, thanks for checking it out. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to drop that stuff over in the chat box there. Yeah, you saw my cat. He's a big fat boy. He's a good boy. Yeah, I don't know. I might just jam for a little bit. I might keep patching. We'll see. I've got some hardware. We'll see where the night takes us. Thank you for those very, very kind words. Yeah, I literally just added in, I've got this third synthesizer here, this one right here. There was actually a version of a synth that my friend designed, and I kind of tore it apart and turned it into this weird FM thing, and I just added a filter envelope onto that, which I think sounds pretty good. That's this little piece here. In case you're curious just what these different parts are, basically I've got in the top left, or like the left side, is all of my kind of utility stuff. which is sort of self-explanatory, but you've got like BPM, rate for the phase that's driving the entire patch, and then you have a step count, maximum and minimum. So if I want to, I could like turn this into something that's, for example, 9 steps, and it'll basically adjust that to whatever tempo or rate you're using. So that's kind of fun. And then, step minimum, like if I only wanted this to go from step 6 to 9, then you could do that. And if you wanted to change the rate to be like quicker, you could just like cycle through those. You could cycle on one step repeatedly, whatever. Let's go back to normal here. Oh yeah, now we're gonna be all fast. Oh my god! Yeah, let's put this a little slower. And I'll turn down, I have like a little delay thing on here. Let's turn that down a little bit. So then I've got presets on the left, and then just like some like amplitude and stereo information right below that. A little compressor that my friend designed in Gen. And then just like master gain. This is so I can reset my zoom rather than going all the way up to the corner. Excuse me. Then we've got basically the shape of the ramp that's driving the entire thing. And right below that is the actual steps that you would be plugging in to control these different instruments. You can see what they are here. Sample, basically you can scan through the sample at different speeds. You also have this thing where you can loop it and all sorts of weird stuff like that. This goes through different octaves for the entire patch at whatever rate you set and sort of per step there. These are different reverbs, and then we've got like kick, snare, weird FM thing, and then a weird sort of like noise running into resonance, like not physical modeling, but just very, very, very resonated noise. So that one's kind of fun as well. Focus on that one for a second. The cool thing about this is that you can like downsample it, and if you downsample it to a certain point, you start to get really interesting sounds out of it. Like if you turn the resonance down, and I apologize if any of this gets loud. It's a little hard to tell what the levels are on the stream there. But basically that's what's going on there. So this is like, I'm trying to remember, I think there's like noise and a comb filter and a big resonator thing, and then I think it goes into a delay. So you can like put the dampening really low on that and get like really weird sounds if you want to. Oh wait, that's this thing here. Just for the sake of demonstration here. And then you'll probably hear the weird like frequency stuff happening. That's from this. So basically you can draw in a shape of what's modulating the frequency, the cutoff frequency. Or I guess the center frequency on the resonators. So when you have the resonance really high, you get these weird like squelchy sounds, and when you combine that with a very low sample rate, you start to get like watery kind of sounds, which I really liked. So I've been playing a lot with that. And then you've got like pitch and velocity for each of these envelopes. This one is a very, very basic just attack decay. This, you don't even draw in the function or anything. And then this is also getting panned by this weird little symbol, or this weird little sine wave, where you have control, I believe it's over like the bass and then the increment of these different signals. So it's a multi-channel thing. There's a lot of MC stuff happening in here. How long did it take to put together? This took a while. This particular project started as like an old version maybe 3 months ago, and then has sort of just grown into this other thing, and it continues changing. Looks like the passion. Yeah, I follow Sean pretty closely online, and I saw those patches, and that definitely inspired the green. The green on black I thought was a really nice look. It's got like really nice clarity to it. I'm sure whatever he's doing is way more impressive and complex, but thank you for the comparison. As you say, down something's that basically aliasing. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure how it works. The way I understand it is you're sort of like you're having audio be sampled less often. So you start to get these really broken sounds, right? Like a way that, so I'm really into Bitwig Studio as well. I've done a lot of stuff in the grid there that I should probably upload at some point. I'm sure people would be interested. But one trick that I used to do in there to achieve a downsampling effect that actually one of the main guys from Bitwig showed this in a video is you can literally like run the audio through a sample and hold and then just tell it to sample the audio less often, and you get a thing that's very similar to downsampling. So I'm sure like the actual downsampling in something like Max works a little bit differently, and is probably a little bit more precise. But from what I understand, you're like grabbing audio less often, so you get different sounds. But maybe I'm not understanding that. That's the way I look at it. So, yeah. That basically is what gets this really kind of crunchy, broken sound, and then you can bring it back together. Yeah. And I like this because you start to get like a weird robot voice thing out of it. Oh, thank you. Yeah. The Bitwig stuff's a lot of fun because I did, I have a controller called an APC MK40 Mark II. Is that what it is? The one with all the faders and knobs and stuff. And, that is really easy to map into Bitwig, so it's a lot easier to do sort of like performative stuff in there. Eventually I want to take this to a place where I can perform on it, but I'm still kind of building the foundation before I can really control it that way. Like, as you can see, like each of these synths has like 10 number boxes, and it's like all over the place. Like I'm slowly trying to pare these things down and maybe make broader controls. But with Bitwig, it's a lot easier to do sort of like macro controls and just like play around with them. You have to commit a little bit less in terms of programming, I think, with Bitwig Grid compared to Max. But yeah, Bitwig, I mean, I've got some really interesting sounds out of it. I wonder if I can actually maybe like play a file, just so you can hear what that sounds like. 1 second. Let me know if you can actually hear this. Find a good one here. Okay. Just pausing Max for a second. This is a recording. Or you know what? Is this even the best one? Well, this was some stuff I was doing in Bitwig, like, I don't know, at this point, maybe 6 months ago. Or, no, it's in November. Okay. Oops. Oh, wrong file. Let me know if you can hear this. I don't know if it'll... Check. Oh, yeah, it should be coming. But this is all Bitwig. Yeah, integration of the grid is something that I hope eventually they can do a little bit better with Max into Ableton. Like, Max for Live is great, but it just takes so much extra formatting that I wish I didn't have to do. Very lazy in that way. just turn this down a little bit. Oh, and thank you. When you have a patch like that, would it be better having hardware controllers on that correctly, or do something like Max for people live? I'm not sure what you mean by that question. I think hardware has a time and a place with software. I think you can get really clever about how you program things in software so you don't need hardware, but I also just like having something tactile. So it's sort of good to like make an excuse to use hardware. And this Bitwig thing is basically one sort of like master patch. I could probably even show it at some point. There's like one master patch, and then I have a few tracks that are like smaller patches that are also following some of the information that's being sent out. But basically I have a lot more control over these sounds that you're hearing than something I would do in Max right now, just because I've really gotten seriously into Max within the past year or so, and in earnest for like the last maybe 6 months. But with Bitwig, it's just a way more accessible. I'm sure anyone who's used that can tell you that. But yeah, it's sort of interconnected things. And the nice thing is I'll set it up in a way where I have like a fader for each sound in a way, so I can like change the sounds in real time. I have like different presets built up as I move the slider. I have like a big decay knob, and I have like, you know, some sends for reverb and delay, pitch shift, and whatever. And it just kind of keeps growing. I'll turn my voice up. Thank you. I hope that's a little better. Yeah, I want to figure out a way where I can duck the audio while my voice is coming through. If I keep doing this, which I don't even know if I'm going to. But thank you for pointing that out. So yeah, that's some of the stuff I was doing in Bitwig. Let me see. Do I have like one other thing I can just quickly? I think I had. So one cool thing is me and one of my buddies do a lot of this stuff together. So let me see if I can find one of those recordings that's like both of us, because he'll do stuff in Ableton and Max, and I'll do stuff in Bitwig and Ableton and Max and all that, and then we'll sort of layer it, which is pretty nice. I'm trying to remember what one of these things is called. Oh, you know what it was called? Here we go. This was something me and my friend recorded together. So I was in Bitwig and he was in Ableton. Just see what the levels are. Okay, that looks okay. Route everything through Reaper. Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out. I think I have like, I have Adobe Audition somewhere. Maybe I could do it that way. But whatever's using less resources. But yeah, so this recording here is a lot of Bitwig and a lot of Ableton together using Link. I'm gonna skip forward a little bit. Thank you, Lily. Anyway, I don't want to just sit here and listen to my old recordings. But I hope that at least gives a comparison of like what the stuff in Bitwig has sounded like, and then what this sounds like. How'd you guys approach the collab? Did you want to handle it? Oh yeah, so like That's something we're still kind of figuring out. I think just depending on when we sit down, we'll get different roles going. I think the most important thing, it's not so much thinking about in terms of percussion or rhythm or whatever. We try to think of it more in terms of what frequencies we're taking up and which notes we're playing. So we try to like separate those to make sure there's not a ton of overlap in that regard. Like if two people are playing a really loud kick drum over each other, it's just going to sound like complete shit. So generally one of us will take things that are maybe living in the lower end, or if we both have things that are happening in the low end, just as an example, we'll try to either set note conditions or, whatever to make sure that they don't happen at the same time. Because I think it's cool both having options in terms of something that's maybe more harmonic or something that's more percussive, so you can bring those things in and out, because the nice thing is feeding off of each other, right? I think that really helps to inform the type of direction that like a little jam like that goes in. So I think having all of the tools there and just knowing how to be really selective about when you use them and being smart about that is how I tend to approach it. Anyway, these are great questions. Thank you so much for checking this out. Lily, thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. It's the first time I've ever really done this. Maybe I'll do it again. Come check it out. Come hang out again. We'll see how this grows. I'm sure it'll get a little more direction as we go on, but thank you. Oh yeah, so for the kick and snare, that's all synthesized. I do have a sample in here, which is what you're seeing in the middle, that big sort of green waveform. But that's that weird like that kind of sound. Yeah, the kick and snare are all synthesized. I was actually thinking about adding in something where maybe I can layer a sample to have like a little bit of extra texture, like a little control over maybe a weird stretch sample underneath the drum or something like that. Maybe give it its own envelopes, like as one thing's going down, another thing comes up, something like that. But yeah, that's all synthesized. One thing that I found kind of cool recently is I added in a little bit of FM, which you can sort of hear. But that helped add some overtones, and that has its own envelope. Yeah, overtones are very important, I find. Like, things will sound incredibly flat if you don't have some sort of additional texture to them. And I find that FM, noise, AM are all very good ways to go about that, without it sort of interfering too much with the sound. So I have a desktop, but I'm using my laptop for this because it has a webcam. And CPU usage, I mean, I can literally check, but I think last time I checked it was maybe a little above 20% for this patch. So nothing crazy. I've tried to optimize it wherever I can. I find the things to be very, very careful of in Macs are snapshot, crazy MC stuff. Like if you have a ton of things like an MC comb, for example, that'll run up your CPU a lot. And I feel like there's one other thing I was running into. I can't remember, but there's a couple things. Like anything that is constantly running and just sometimes there's receiving information to trigger it is something you want to try to find a solution so that it's only active when it needs to be triggered. Yeah. So I think trying to circumvent anything where you have to convert signals into floats, like anything that brings you out of signal rate is generally going to run up your CPU, at least in my experience. And it's just going to be less accurate. But then again, I don't always know what I'm talking about. That's personal experience. Yeah, so Gen is something that I haven't messed with yet. My friend who I build a lot of this stuff with has dug pretty deep into Gen, and it actually seems, I mean, to my ear, it sounds cleaner. Whether it's more CPU intensive or not, I'm not sure, because the cleaner sound could be coming from the fact that it's running at sample rate, but because it's running at sample rate, maybe that means it's actually running slower. From what I've seen, though, like if you look at a lot of Max for Live devices, like someone like Fours, for example, uses Gen for almost all of his devices, which tells me that at least within Ableton, it's probably more efficient. And I think if it's more efficient within Ableton, it's got to be more efficient just in Max in general. So that's something I definitely have to mess around with. I've been very caught up on just like playing with MC stuff right now. So I'm gonna move in that direction. I think once I start getting a little deeper into like reverbs, delays, I think that'll be really good for it. Kale, yeah, about the shape object. That's around the shape control transport. So I wouldn't. I mean, maybe I'm just being picky, but I wouldn't say my transport is controlled by shape. The transport's still kind of doing its own thing, but yes, my entire patch is run by basically a function going into shape, controlled by a phase. Really gotta finesse it. Yeah, I don't know. I find like the one thing that gets funky is like when you play with rate. Like if I do this, or no, you know what it is? When I had a little thing going, and I need to like work on it more, but I was having it so you could like sequence through presets, and I need to sort of re-implement that. I was messing with it the other day. And when that is going, and then you mess with the rate because that was run by an iter object, that made the whole thing kind of go nutty. But yeah, I like this solution for things like just swing or reversing a sequence or chopping it down. Like, this whole thing is basically run by a list of numbers, which is pretty malleable. And something that I really want to mess around with is like using this initial 1 to 16 pattern and spreading that out and sending it in different orders or manipulate it in different ways to control other things as the patch grows. But thank you for checking out the videos. Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of surprised that people are interested, but I really appreciate it. Quickly mess with something in the guts of this patch. You're about to get an exclusive preview of what's happening under here. One sec. I want to try to figure out a way that I can sequence through these presets a little bit easier. Don't judge if I do some very stupid things. That's what this is all about. Hey, you've only seen a corner of this patch. You don't know. I'm always a little hesitant because I don't always want to like show how I'm doing everything, but just if you want to see the whole thing, that's the whole patch right there. So it's pretty organized for the most part, but you can sort of see where things are in flux, like that they're a little less clean. But I recently started using a lot more sends and receives, just so I have a little more control over where I'm putting everything. But yeah. This is what happens in Max. I'm trying to remember how to use a counter object after I've already done all this. The help files are the best thing about Macs. Don't ever feel bad about using them. My entire pitch quantization system is from a help file, and I just put it to my own uses and messed with it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I can use an object every single day, and I'm probably still opening the help file very regularly. I encourage it. Alright, we've got a basic little thing to sequence through presets. I just need to hook it in. Preach. Yes, exactly. Alright, let's see if this works. I'm gonna do a little thing where I might just unhook what's in there right now and just mess with this for a little bit. Stack Overflow, baby. Huh. Let me figure that out. Hold on. What got messed up there? I love a good Stack Overflow. Let's see. Huh. Oh, that's why. I don't need that right now. And this is... Okay. And then if I wanted to... You know what I'm gonna do? Instead of... So I have like a master rate phaser that I have running in there right now, but I think I'm gonna use the master phase and then run its own rate instead. I think I'm gonna do that. But in that case, I can just use this one over here. I don't even... Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so I still need these. So the Stack Overflow was because I was trying out this thing where I still would like to do this somehow, but where you could select 2 points on the preset object and basically set that as the range. So like set the minimum of this, and then it knows, maybe using like a one bang object or something. Okay, I've got that. Now I'm waiting for you know, the second point to sequence to in the preset object. So I was using the output on the preset object. The second output is preset number when recalled, and that was going into an object over here that was being fed in. So it caused the loop because the output of this was going to the input of preset. So it was like trying to receive a number and send out that number at the same time into objects that were feeding into themselves, so it got confused. Just gonna get rid of this other part for now. I don't even need it. Oh, so the what object is actually new in, well, it was new in 8.3. I think we're on what, 8.53 now? But it was new in 8.3, and basically what that does is it detects the impulse, or it can create an impulse from the 0 to 1 or 1 to 0 transition of a phase. So basically, if you send what into edge, that's just a really easy way, at least that I've found, to get a bang every time a phase goes from 1 to 0. So it's good for something like this, where at the end of a phase, I want it to progress to the next preset in my sequencer. So you can kind of progress things forward steadily. Oh yeah, we saw under the hood for a minute. That's exclusive to the live stream. You only get to see under there during the live stream. Real quick, just want to say thanks everybody for hanging out. Dark Clouds, especially, you've been here like the whole time. Thanks. And Kale, I haven't checked out your channel yet, but I'll have to take a look. Most people that I see like subscribe or comment, I always make sure to check it out. So if you have any like music you want me to listen to, same with you, Dark Clouds. If you want me to like check out any of your stuff, I'm more than happy to. I'm gonna have to log off fairly soon, but again, thanks for hanging out. Some single preset sequencers changing happen. Oh, yeah. So the old one was basically... Here, let me turn this down for a second. Yeah, the old one, I was playing with this idea where you could, like, program in patterns and, like, divide them within one phase, but it didn't really do anything interesting. Hey, Dark Clouds, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I'll try to do this like at least once a week if you enjoy it. I will definitely keep going and just see where this goes. One thing that I hope to do is like have my buddy that I make music with on here, and we'll do like some jams together and whatever. We'll figure it out. But I appreciate this little community on here. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. And then Kale, yeah, it was basically dividing the pattern switch within one ramp of the phase. So now it's being triggered when the phase ramp ends according to the rate that I set, which is independent of the rate of the whole patch. So like if I want to, I can have it switch halfway through, but by default I could just have it kind of following the same rate. It might actually be cool to have a little toggle that says if you change the rate of the patch, will it change the rate of the sequence changing or not? That might be a good little option to have. And this is the power of Max MSP, is that I have that option. Great, take it easy. Yeah, I gotta log off soon anyway, but we'll try to get something cool going here before I gotta go. Kill, I know what you mean. I felt it was such an innocent time just using Metro and Counter. But yeah, I've checked out a couple of those Philip Meyer videos. He's a really smart guy. His video on subdiv, I had messed with subdiv and rate a little bit, but his video on subdiv really kind of cracked it open for me and is actually one of the big things that started an earlier version of this patch. I'm not using subdiv anymore. I might use it for things down the road with this, like maybe modulation, like using phase ramp and like a ramp smooth and whatever to create weird signals that are controlling sounds. But yeah, those videos are great. I actually find that it is it's just great the flexibility you have, especially when you start playing with things like MC and you can just like spread things out however you want. There's something nice about like individual lines of logic of kind of like older processes, but I think yeah, all this new signal-based stuff is very exciting, and I wish that there was more hardware where you could do things like this, but that's why I like Max, is I can just use a controller and this and be good to go. I'm about to wrap up. Let's just see what some of these different presets sound like on these patterns. This might sound terrible, but let's find out. That's nice. All right, we hit the crap spot. All right, that's enough for tonight. Thanks, everybody. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Even if it's just a couple of us hanging out, I really appreciate it. Maybe I'll do this again. We'll see. It's just a little test. But take it easy. Have a good night. All the best. Thanks for tuning in.